Welcome, everybody, to the first episode of The Life Equation. Thank you all so much for being here. The username currently is Shadows, but it's not exactly fitting of the overall theme of the podcast. So you guys can stick with Zach. That's perfectly fine. And joining me on today's episode of the podcast is my good friend Takae, who I've talked to a lot in the past about game stuff, but also someone who I think has a lot to offer up and a lot of cool insight to give. So Takae, first of all, thank you for jumping onto the podcast. How you feeling, man?
Um, I'm nervous.
Wait, shoot, sorry, that's in the where is it? Okay, here we go. Try again. I'm sorry. I think I had it on the wrong source.
Oh yeah, I'm kind of nervous because you know I don't talk to people very much, so it's sometimes it's difficult.
Yeah. No, it's I think talking in a setting like this is interesting for sure. When I started this, when I was doing a radio program back in college, it's very strange to just be able
You
to
did a radio program? That's crazy.
Yeah, I didn't get paid for it, but I did do a small radio show when I was in college. It was just some random sports talk program. I pretty much just got in a booth and wrote down some notes on whatever I wanted to talk about with sports and like hockey, it was football, it was whatever it was. My school also had a really big hockey team, so it was cool to kind of talk about that. But one thing I never did was I never had guests on the show, which I feel is sort of detrimental because the whole point of talking isn't just to hear yourself talk, it's to talk
Mm.
about ideas and what other people feel about them. And like I said, dude, I mean, I understand you may not do this a lot, even though you're a streamer, but thank you for coming out because I think from what I've seen from you just being around, you've got a lot of insight and a lot of things to talk about. So thanks again, man.
Well, thank you for saying such a thing.
Yeah, no worries, man.
uh,
Hey, like I said, I think
yeah.
you got a lot to offer up. And on the subject of offering things up, we've got a lot of things to offer up on today's episode of The Life Equation, the initial episode of The Life Equation. And when one where we are going to be talking about our main question of the day, which, like I know, is something you're very used to having questions of the day. So
Yeah,
hopefully,
except mine are really like stupid and they don't ask anything interesting.
I mean, you had what was the one question you had the other time? Was do you think you work hard enough? I don't think that's a stupid question.
Oh yeah, that was one of the non-stupid questions. But most of the time, I can't think of a good question, so it ends up being something like, "Do you like eggs?" Or like, uh, "Do you look outside the window sometimes?" You know?
No, it's in. I mean, hey, like if you do like eggs, like we can have breakfast. If you don't like eggs, and sometimes finding breakfast options is hard. The insightful stuff, the important stuff you can find out about life, and looking out windows, touching grass, all that funny stuff. But in any case, yeah. So Takei, the main question that I wanted to have today, and one question that I thought was very interesting. It comes from a gentleman that I actually met while I was out and about my town yesterday. One that I think that some people may or may not think about a lot, given the situation we're in or the platform that we're on, is how do you think technology has affected your life both positively and negatively? And again, I think that there's a lot of different layers to it, especially considering, I'm here on a platform. I'm streaming this live on Twitch, of course, but also this may inevitably be going up to something like YouTube or Spotify or such and such. And there's a lot of different mediums of which people can communicate with each other. And sometimes what this gentleman and I were arguing about or talking about was we feel that it might get a little bit too much sometimes. It's great to have Spotify for music and such and everything. It's also not great to just spend hours of your time just making playlists or like fumbling around on YouTube Shorts, even if it's entertaining sometimes. But yeah, what are your general thoughts when you hear that question?
Um, like my answer, or just like I don't know. I
Yeah,
guess
like
I don't know what else it would be. I guess.
you don't know what else?
Um,
Sorry.
no, I was trying to decipher your question about the question. I was trying to.
All
figure
right.
out if you meant what's your what how would you answer the question? Or if you were thinking, what's your impression of the question, which are two different things, but that's okay. I mean, I don't know why you would ask about my impression of the question. It's whatever. It's fine. Um uh I don't know. They say there's this whole thing about like the attention span, right?
Hmm.
Where they say like uh you have so much stimulation that like your attention span goes down and like people can't even pay attention for like 2 minutes anymore. um I don't I sometimes I wonder if that has happened to me, because I feel like my attention span has gone down, but also like I don't know if that's really like a effect of the technology, but rather like I just don't have as much time anymore. So like the things that I think about like my attention span for doing homework. Well, actually it was never very good anyway. So maybe it's not a good example. But like uh I don't know, the attention span that I used to have, I used to be able to spend like a lot more time on things, but I feel like maybe that's because I didn't feel the pressure of having like, oh, I have this to do today. I have to go get groceries. I have to go like do this, do that. I need to do this work thing. Like, I have to verify 3 speed runs. Oh, I still have to do that actually. Anyway, but you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if the attention span is necessarily a result of technology or just the fact that I've gotten older and I have more things in my life.
Yeah, no, I totally. So I'm understanding what you're getting at is you think that you have less time to devote and less brain power, so to speak, to devote towards different things that you may call superfluous, like, oh hey, like, or not even superfluous, but you have a certain span that you give towards cleaning your room or something, like going out to get groceries, like you said, and then when it comes back to you looking at something like a movie, you feel like that's more just about like what you've been through in your life and about what you consider value and like how much attention you're willing to give to something.
Yeah, like it's kind of interesting. I actually just thought of this, but like when they talk about like like the kids have like zero attention span, or the Gen Zers have no attention span because they all watch TikTok. Uh, I feel like it's usually like what are they talk like what do they mean about like what do they mean when they say they don't have an attention, like where, like what activity are they using to measure that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's sort of
Is
difficult.
it because it depends. Like my attention span is high when it's something that I care about, but my attention span is low when it's something that I don't care about, which I think is very normal. And I don't think is like I don't think I don't think TikTok affects that. I think it's the same. So like I actually don't know what they're talking about now that I think about it.
I think when some people say like that draws away from the attention span and they say like, oh, it's diminishing kids like, ability to focus on one thing at a time, I think they just are referring to more the sort of quick nature of something like TikTok or like YouTube shorts. With when you're on something like that or when you're on something like Facebook Reels, which is something I've been exposed to a lot. It's like an official measure that I'm old when I'm using Facebook, but anyways, um it's so easy to just find one little thing or one little quick jolt of dopamine is what they're getting at. When you see one short and then there's all these subtitles, it's like, ooh, here's something else to look at. Here's something that's immediately here instead of like having some sort of leftover reserve in your brain, so to speak, to dedicate towards things that you might not be drawn to immediately. And I think that's the point
Yeah,
that
yeah,
we're trying to
that's
get
true.
at. Because, like you said, obviously it's pretty human and it's human nature to not care as much about something that you don't feel is entertaining. When I was at university, for instance, immediately I didn't see the use of doing a lot of complex math equations or finding out how much memory to spare for this program versus another program. And a large part of that was because I did other things in college that maybe took away, dopamine or my ability to pay attention in the sense because my brain gets used to, oh, hey, I can just flick my wrist and then boom, I've got something else that immediately catches my interest or immediately catches my perspective or this is interesting to me. Whereas sitting down for an hour in a lecture is not interesting to me. But like you said, that's normal. So I think what they're meaning with attention span is they're just mainly referring to now that we have all this access to things that we love so frequently, it might make it harder for us to be with things that are without that little quick buzz that we can get. And so coming back to the point of the question here, do you think technology like is good for that or bad for that? Like obviously it makes it easier and it also makes it easier to draw yourself towards things that you may not have as much drive for, but you feel like you need to learn. So how do you think like do you think technology is better for that or do you think it's caused like more of a detriment?
Uh, I guess I would say, I mean, I don't think it's helped with that.
Oh.
Um, but I don't necessarily know. I mean, I'm certain. I mean, yeah, there's probably like some detrimental effect, but also I don't. Let me think of how to word this. Like even without technology, like imagine you had no technology in your life.
Mhm.
Like you would still like you could still do the same thing. You know what? Like you could still get the same like dopamine buzz just by doing something that you like doing instead of doing the thing that you don't like doing. Like I guess it's made it easier to get it because you don't need to like go, I don't know, eat food. I don't know what you I don't know what you do
Whoa. All right. Well, I don't
in
know
the
if
olden
enjoying
days.
something gives you an excuse not to eat food, but I get what you're saying.
No, I mean like sometimes if I don't want to like do homework or something, like I'm like, oh, I'll just go make dinner instead. You know, like I distract myself with that.
Mhm. Well, that's like that's
Or
getting into the territory of like, isn't that just procrastination? Like I understand what you're saying when you say like, yeah, you can always fill your time with other things. Like if I didn't have my phone or if I didn't have my like consoles to play video games on, then I could still find ways to waste my time, so to speak. Like I could not make dinner, I could go and just lie down, or I could like read some sort of other comic book or something that may not seem in the grander scheme of things like immediately beneficial to me. That's kind of what you're getting at. And my point that I'm trying to get at here is at least I think like this is the interesting thing about the question is because yeah, like technology definitely isn't the only way to sort of sink time into that. Like obviously like when we were kids, you had things like Legos and some other like puzzles and things you could do that arguably weren't like a huge like productive time investment, but at the same time they were still things that could take away your time. And so having things like Netflix and like movies definitely contribute to that is what I've seen, but there definitely are other ways to go around it. And on the flip side of that, some of it has definitely been good. Like don't get me wrong, like now I can talk to people like yourself because
Mhm.
applications like Discord exist. I can do this podcast because Twitch exists, because YouTube exists, because Spotify exists, and there's definitely positive things out of that. In fact, our friend Neon, actually, I've heard him say this multiple times, but he still claims that speedrunning can't be a waste of time. Neon, from what I've heard, he has some degree of anxiety. And so, not to throw him under the bus, but this is a genuine conversation topic, is that I'm very thankful in his case that he's been able to interact with people like us and showcase the kind of person he is, his interests, his goals in life, you could say, just by getting out here and playing a video game, which is something that back in the day, like back when we were growing up and we were kids, would have been unheard of. And it's because technology, advanced technology exists that we are able to do this. So it's sort of a double-edged sword in the sense that we're talking about here, where like, yeah, there are bad things about it, where there are those hits, and there are things that like could maybe be more productive than just scrolling through videos. But at the same time, like, wouldn't you say like you're very thankful for the time you've put into these applications and like you've made friends online? Could you say that, you think?
Yeah, I would say that. Like, I think technology has a net benefit.
Hmm.
Like, I don't. Yeah, like, I mean, I guess the question is talking about like my how it's affected my life. Like, I don't watch TikTok, so like, I guess I can't really say anything about the attention span of TikTok users. But like, for me in particular, I suppose like the only negative way that technology affects me is that it gives me more things that I can distract myself with and procrastinate on the things that I'm supposed to do. But other than that, I think it's like I think it's just like a positive thing for me anyway. I don't know. Like it's
Like, do you think then like there's if we were going to spitball then like on I don't want to focus on the negative side of it because like you said, I mean, if you're genuinely sitting here and you're thinking, yeah, technology has done a lot more for my life that's positive, like if you think that this interaction, which I believe is a positive thing, I think you talking about things you feel and think about is a positive thing. Technology allows you to do that. Technology allows you to share something that you love with some other people that you've grown to care about.
Mhm.
I think that's excellent. Now, on the only other thing is like with the negative side of it, I think that some people have this big debate of how far should we take technology, especially with the ever-changing landscape of something like artificial intelligence with like Elon Musk and Grok and Chat GPT and DeepSeek now over in China and all of these different models. And people now are pointing to things like this and they're saying, yeah, well now kids don't even have to work as hard in a sense. Well, I shouldn't say that much ahead, but kids now have access to a lot more technology and a lot more utility than we ever did. And while a lot of it is good, AI, for instance, it's helping teachers make lesson plans that aren't just completely skewed. Like my mother will, she's a teacher, she will sometimes make sample essay questions out of Chat GPT and then she'll pluck ones out that she think are interesting and reword them so that they're a little less artificial,
Mhm.
so to speak, quite literally. And that's a good thing. At the same time, though, she also has to experience a lot of kids who under the hood and behind her back are trying to use ChatGPT to write out their entire essays or trying to use it to create a speech or a slideshow on a presentation themselves. Now, one may argue, well, like if the kid doesn't need to make a slideshow in his future life, then sure, like let artificial intelligence use that. But at the same time, what if it's more than just the experience of making a slideshow or making a paper that they're missing out on from that? Because all of those things take like some form of computational thinking. You have to plan out that entire presentation or that entire paper. What do I want this paragraph to be about? What do I want this slide to convey? How many bullet points do I need in order to convey the information? Can I get it as concisely as I possibly can, or do I want it to be more broad, more of a scope? Do I want pictures here? All of that thought is immediately taken away thanks to the abstraction. And so what I'm trying to say here, and what I'm again, I think you're getting at as well, is that technology allows for a lot of abstractions like that, and a lot of it can be good. Like if technology makes a lot of arduous tasks a lot easier for some people to undertake and carry out, I think it can be a good thing. But do you think there's ever a point where like technology becomes too helpful and there are some things we should just do like ourselves?
Yeah, so there is a point when you let the computer if you let the computer do all your thinking, then it's actually not helpful anymore because ultimately like the computer is not solving the problems. that we want to solve. Like the people are the ones doing it, right? Like
yeah,
because AI can't do everything.
mhm.
And it's not like AI, and like AI isn't even real in like strictly in like the artificial intelligence sense of the word. Like it's not intelligence. It just puts together a bunch of words. Like it's like a search engine, and then it'll summarize the search for you. Like that's kind of what it does. And it just puts words together that it thinks you expect. So like it can't do the things that we need it to do. It can't find new things. Like we need new solutions that are suitable to our current conditions, because there's a lot of things changing. Like I mean, like the climate is like a new issue that we have to figure out how to deal with. And actually, I have a lot to talk about, like the students using AI to cheat. Um, because I'm a math major, right? I'm a math guy, so we hear this a lot. Every student, everyone in the math class, at least, I mean, not in the graduate level, okay, but like in like high school, especially, maybe even like undergrad, you always hear this question: when am I ever going to use this? Why do I need to know how to do calculus? Why do I need to know how to do algebra? When am I ever going to really solve systems of linear equations? Well, the answer is when you play the video game Satisfactory, and then you have to whatever. Okay. Anyway, that is like an application of linear equations. That's not the point. uh, but the point is, like you think about it, why are they even teaching math? Like there is a utilitarian aspect to it because it is useful for other things. But like if it was just about the utility, they would just give you a bunch of formulas and then you would use them. But instead, you have to show your work and understand the principles of mathematics, and also even prove things sometimes, even though all those theorems that you're proving have already been proven like 300 years ago. So the point of the mathematics class is not to give you is not that you will use the mathematics, but it's to train. It's a training ground. It's a perfect training ground for problem solving and like logical thinking, because math is inherently like it is completely logical. Like there is no uncertainty. There is no like in the real like everything can be explained. Everything has a reason. It's a perfect training ground for training this kind of thinking, right? uh like in physics, you have I mean you have theories that aren't proven and like are very hard to prove, and you have to prove them experimentally. And in math, you just prove the theorem. Like it's either true or it's false. There's no uncertainty. There's And even like let's say in physics, you have eventually you come to the realization that everything in the that you have this unified theory that everything in the world is governed by this singular equation, this singular beautiful equation with 200 terms. And then but you could still ask, like, but why is it that equation? Why isn't it a different equation? And then but in math you can answer that. So like that's the point of taking that's like the real point of taking the math class, is to train this kind of thinking, I think.
Mhm.
um I mean obviously also like it actually teaches you the math, which is important, but in my opinion that's like secondary
Yeah.
to the point. So like if you're using AI, and like this, I mean, I'm just talking about math, right? But this applies to like a lot of this applies to like basically every subject, right? Like if you're using AI to do the thinking for you, then you've just completely missed the point of the class. You've completely missed the point because suddenly you don't have because suddenly, I mean you're not training problem solving anymore, or you're not training the kind of thinking that they're trying to train.
Because everything you've just laid out that is getting given to the kid is no longer getting given to the kid. They're just like taking a shortcut or just completely leaping over it.
Yeah, like like they cheat because they want a good grade, and like grades are important, I guess, but like in reality what people want are people who can like have problem solving skills, or they think things through. They can uh I guess they have like lots of different life experiences they can draw and stuff, stuff like that. I mean, that's what like literature would be for, right? Like literature is like when you read fiction, you're experiencing the life of another person, like in text. I like that way of thinking about it
Yeah.
anyway.
No, I honestly love the point you're getting at here. I think what you said earlier about like the whole utilitarian aspect of it is a really interesting point. I will say like on what you're saying, I think that if AI could have seriously taken our jobs, they would have done it years ago. Because even then, I've mentioned this to other people who I've talked about specifically artificial intelligence with, but you look back to early 2000s, right? And you still had, what was it? There's like Blue something, I think. Like it was the artificial intelligence that beat like the greatest chess player in the world handily, and they're still doing that
Oh
today.
yeah.
Like if you watch chess YouTubers, they're coming out with one of those like every month or so that just has a new way to play the game with infinite positions, and they're just crazy like that. So that those have existed for a long time. Then you've got, I think it was like 2006 between 2008, there was that crazy AI Watson that got put on Jeopardy, and after one game of stumbling around, beat both Ken Jennings and Brad Rutter, who Brad Rutter, amazing Jeopardy player, and then Ken Jennings hosts the show now. He's considered like
Mhm.
one of the greatest players, if not the greatest in the show's history. Those kinds of AI have existed for years. Like if you wanted to ask Watson back in the day, oh hey, how do I solve like this trigonometry problem? It could totally do that. But to the point you're making, people don't want that, and like we don't need that necessarily in the world. What we need are people that have been through that process of computational thinking, can look at something like a math problem or like a physics equation and say, yeah, I see the pieces here, and I can kind of explain why this
Yeah,
is and
it's
why.
about the approach, right?
Mhm.
Like
Exactly.
it's not the outcome that matters. It's the approach you take to solve the problem.
Hmm.
Like that's because if you have a like what people want are new approaches, new ways of thinking thinking about an existing problem. I mean, that's all of math research is exactly that. Is you have a bunch of old problems nobody knows how to solve, and then you come at it with an entirely different angle, and then suddenly it becomes much easier. It becomes solvable, right? Suddenly, because you've come up with a different approach, right? If you hadn't, but like that requires training, so you have to do all the stuff before that. Like the AI doesn't help you do that because the AI can't produce new things, right? The AI just takes from what exists already.
Yeah, and that's artificial intelligence nowadays in a nutshell. Is like it's just what you've described, like all these new AI models. The only reason they seem to know as much as they do, the only reason they seem to know how to do these things is because under the hood they have this entire neural network of, oh hey, if you see X, go do Y, and then there's a billion other options you can take to try and resolve this problem in the way that a human would. But the point being, that entire neural network was once understood and implemented by humans that had to learn and implement the exact process that you're talking about. Somebody had to go and look at that and say, like, yeah, this is a concrete system that is going to allow something inanimate to solve problems as the way a human would, but not even as a human would. That's why things like the Turing test exist, because artificial intelligence still needs human interaction in order to solve new problems. And we still, and probably always, will need humans to understand computational problems and think about it like that. In fact, one thing I want to mention that I'm sure plenty of people listening to this are actually familiar with, Are you familiar with Russell's paradox? Like how math was almost like broken with sets?
Oh, is this like the Gödel's theorem or something? Like or whatever?
It might be. I'm
The one
admittedly
that's
not.
like
Go on. Yeah.
there there there's this one guy who proved that like math is incomplete and that you cannot prove everything from like you like not because in math you have axioms, right, that you take for granted because and you just decide on them because you say, well, this seems to make sense. That's basically what it is. And you prove everything else from that. In theory, you want to make as have as little axioms as possible. Um, so like the theory is actually like rigorous, right?
Hmm.
And so the dream of every mathematician, not anymore, I guess the dream has been broken, but the dream of every mathematician was to like uh, have a theory where you wouldn't need to assume anything, or you would only need to assume like one axiom, and then from that you can construct the entirety of mathematics. But it turns out you can't do that. I don't know why though.
It's Yeah, I mean, to be honest, like that's a really cool point though. Like if you could simplify it that much, then imagine how many problems we could solve. And I think just like a broad explanation of that, well, who am I kidding? Explanation isn't even a good term because like you said, there are some things you just can't explain. Like if we had it the way that we wanted to, we would have all the answers, but in many ways we seriously don't. Like to this day, after like 10 billion, not 10 billion, like 4.5 billion years of this planet existing, you think somebody would have found a concrete axiom to prove and test, like, hey, how exactly did the world exist? And we have theories, we have different creation theories, like the Big Bang is the most popular one of those. But that still started with, like, okay, well, here's a constant that we assume to be true. And then you go off of that based on the most like concrete facts that we have. But even then, at the end of the day, this is why religions and everything still exist around the world. I know we're getting a little bit off topic here, but hear me out. This is why like all these different theories still exist is because not everything can just be proven. And it's why a lot of scientists who develop those same theories say like, yeah, give us one miracle and we can explain everything because that blank still exists. And it's like you said, math still needs to exist. You still need to learn how to adapt and learn these problems and learn computational thinking because we're still looking for someone as a human race or some sort of constant that can solve those problems or at least devise theories that get us inches closer to solving those problems. And again, I think it all connects back to what we're saying. If we had everything solved, if AI could absolutely solve everything for us, nobody would need to like have education at all. If we had all the answers, then like maybe there wouldn't be wars, maybe there wouldn't be these other external factors. But that's why I believe anyways, that's why a lot of the world just can't agree on it because there are a lot of different branches and there are a lot of different cultures and societies that have been like brought together or unified under one ideology, one technology, and the ever-changing landscape, which technology is a great part of, has undoubtedly changed that. So,
Yeah, I mean, like, at the end of the day, like the technology is a tool,
mhm,
right? And we should use it as such. Like like the tool should not, the tool doesn't do everything for us. Like that's not what a tool is. Like we use the tool to do a thing, but like we're still the ones doing it.
mhm.
Like this. I have a friend who I have a friend whose uncle is like trying to become an AI artist. I think it's
What?
so funny.
Elaborate. Okay, you have to tell us this now. What does that even look like?
So this uncle is apparently like an insanely like chaotic person. Like apparently he went to like Seattle. He was just there for like he didn't he was like, I don't have any money. And and then I guess he just like, but apparently he's very confident. So I don't know what he did, but it turned out okay, I guess, and he was having a good time. It's just like and apparently he like now he somehow using his sheer confidence, he can trick like the rich people into letting him in their parties. So he goes to like rich people parties and he like takes pictures of grapes and stuff. It's just like, what is going on with this guy? Yeah.
That
So, but like he seems to have fun. So I guess like that's fine. I guess.
I mean, if I was getting into like every rich man's party in Seattle and getting like free drinks, I wouldn't complain about it either. Hell yeah, that'd be an amazing life. You know?
Yeah, but apparently his mom is very worried about him. But
Oh
that's okay. He
gosh.
seems to be doing okay. But anyway, the reason I brought it up was because me and my friend were talking about, like, we had this entire discussion about AI art, which I think is, I mean, the thesis is the same, right? Like, it's a tool that you use. I guess in the case of art, it's different because, like in problem solving, or like in STEM things or whatever, like you use the AI. I mean, you use the AI to help to like assist your thinking. But in art, I guess, like, actually in art I would argue that like using AI to do any of it is like destroys the point, kind of. But
Well, it's like
so I
you're
guess it's not really the same,
oh,
but
well, but no, in a way it kind of is. It's like what you were getting at earlier was that if you're using artificial intelligence to solve math problems for you or to solve physics problems for you, yeah,
yeah.
without doing any of the thinking, that's the problem. And in the same way, what is art without somebody using a different kind of tool like a paintbrush or some collage that's not
Right, because
AI?
like, 'cause I was trying to we were trying to like define, like, find a precise definition of, like, what is the essence of art, right? I think the essence of art is you have something in your head that you cannot express in, like you can't say it, right?
Mhm.
Because if you could say it, then, like, if you could say it, then you would just say it. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
you wouldn't need this art. So instead of that, you have to use a different medium to express what you have in your head. And the problem is that no matter what medium you use, it's never going to be accurate to your vision, because, yeah, because if it could be accurate to your, because it's like music is not human thought. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
it's not, like, music is not human emotion, but it's like a representation, but you lose some information by representing it with this with music or with art or whatever. So that's the fundamental problem, is that you can't accurately depict what you have in your head
Yeah. Well,
through whatever medium you choose.
yeah. The thing is, like, I definitely I understand what you're getting at as well. Like with AI especially, and with AI nowadays, like whenever you look at AI art, pardon me, it's so egregiously like fake, and some people may not immediately see it, but once you've seen a few, you can see the same style it uses and the same sort of images it pulls from. And granted, like maybe artists do that too, but it comes from a more genuine place, and it comes from somewhere that like the human envisions and not, hey, like based on a bunch of factors that you plug into an AI model, please give me something that you think looks accurately like this. And the way it judges how close to the vision it is based on what it gets told back. Because if it spits out an image and then I say to it, no, this doesn't look at all like what I wanted, it's going to be upset. And if you say, like, wow, this looks amazing, then it's going to think it's done a good job. But it doesn't really understand how close that is to the vision, especially when, again, going back to like the human aspect of it, you know what it should make somebody feel like and what it should convey. Funnily enough, I've heard, it's funny you bring up the music example. Some people argue back in the day, like way back when like classical music was the rage, that music was more of a mathematical problem than an art form. because music at the end of the day, like there's this subconscious layer of the human brain that even if you are completely musically illiterate, and I'm speaking as somebody who falls under that description, I can't play music, I can't read sheet music, I can't read staffs, it's still like you have a subconscious tick in your brain that tells you like, yeah, this note sounds great with this note, and that's why you enjoy music the way you do. That's why melodies exist. But even if like AI can look at a musical staff and say, yeah, like these two notes generally belong together, this is a combination that you see, AI doesn't exactly understand like why something like, Beethoven's Ninth Symphony might make somebody sad, or why something like I don't know what another good example is. Like all of modern pop
Okay,
music, I might not
hold on.
understand why it makes them feel like energetic and great, if you know what I
So
mean.
I just want to say that the response to music is trained. Like the idea that like a major third sounds good is like trained, or like the octave sounds good is trained. Like this is a Western cultural, like this is the Western culture thing. In other cultures, they often use like, and this is not like, you know, super complicated. Like this is like a music of like, I don't know, like a tribe or something, like a small group. You know, they don't have like an entire country which is developing all these different ways of doing music, right?
Mhm.
So like, but their culture, in their culture, at least for to me, it seems like that they think that like, I mean, you have things that are like quarter tones that are like, that to us would sound very strange, and the way they harmonize, they might use like, to what to us might sound extremely dissonant, like a minor second or something,
Mhm.
but to them is like perfectly normal in their culture. So this is like a trained thing, I think.
No, I mean honestly, that
I've had like conversations with people about this. I'm actually not sure, so take it with a grain of salt. But I'm pretty sure it's like a. I think it's a trained thing.
yeah. I I
Anyway,
c-
that's
I can't say for sure whether or not it is like a trained thing because again, I'm not the musical guy, but I understand what you're getting at. In fact, one of my last years of university when I was taking a class on the history of Japan, and one of the biggest things I had to adapt to, or I guess one of the things that seemed quite literally foreign to me, was the Japanese style of music. And I'm not talking about like anime openings or something like that. I'm talking about like way back in like the 1800s of Japan when people just played these little like guitar strums and like told stories without many rhymes or without many like connection of words. But to the Japanese, that sounds incredible. And like that's their style of music. And even to us,
yeah,
if you look at Japanese music nowadays, a lot of like the translated lyrics to English, it doesn't like rhyme. It doesn't seem to immediately go together. It just seems to be quite literally like statements or words. But that's what they have. And the music, the style they use, they probably still have some of that like older music as well. That is great to them. And but also going kind of tying this all back into what we just did here, what is AI's perception of good? Because you can ask an AI like, hey, do you think this is good? But like it doesn't have that emotion. It doesn't like understand why you consider a note or quarter tones like foul or why you consider something else good music. It just takes and then it has no sort of perception. That's the human element of it. And
the
of
thing that I
course,
think
we're
is
yeah.
the thing that I think is really interesting about this question is that um actually, to me, like the question has nothing to do with whether the art is good or not. Like even if you ask a human what does good mean, they have no answer for you. I mean, like the best you could say is that uh like it did what they wanted. Like it they made a thing that they wanted to make. Like if they did that, then it's a successful piece of art. But from like my perspective, like the viewer's perspective or the listener's perspective, I don't know if they've if they succeed. So like the best I can do is like all art is good with no distinction. Like all art is good. And so that leads us to like, so what is the difference between AI art and human art? is actually has nothing to do with what the final product is, right? Because like if it was like, oh, AI art, they can't make it's not good. Like the proportions are wrong or whatever, or it doesn't look as good as the human art. It's like that's not a I guess there's no you can't assess that with any degree of accuracy. Like the crucial thing for me is that it is actually completely irrelevant. Like the viewer or whatever people, because it could, like the AI art could be good. Like you have AI music that is like that actually does affect me deeply. Like it makes me very emotional. But like regardless of the value that it gives to other people is not like that's the value that it gives to other people is not the point. The value of what it gives to other people does not make it art. I think that what makes it art is the the internal process of the artist, right? Like it's the internal process of you have something in your head, you're trying to write it down, you're trying to turn it into music, you're trying to communicate it through some medium that's not that can't accurately depict that. And the artistic process is to keep adjusting it painstakingly, like one part at a time. You keep adjusting it until it's more accurate to what you want, right? Like that process is the art to me, and it has nothing to do with what value people take out of it, or I don't know, like quote unquote how good it is, right?
Yeah. No, because in a way, like art, like people perceive art and they feel something from it. And maybe to some people that does have like some kind of value of what they see out of it. But
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
saying like, yeah, the heart of creating the art, like what makes art isn't the final product, it's the journey to get there, which I think is what
yes.
you're getting at the heart at. Yeah. So funnily enough, this is actually a great point you're making here. I'm in the middle of reading this book. John C. Maxwell, I believe, is the author's name. It's called like The Success Journey, the process of living your dreams. And one of the
Mhm.
things that he heavily emphasizes in the novel, which by the way, if you can already and you have some gold, like it's a great novel, but anyways, it's not about the shout out.
Mhm.
The point I'm trying to get at is he always talks about like success is not a destination, it's like a journey.
Yeah,
So the journey of me like trying to reach more people, trying to understand the kind of human being you are, Takae, with like this podcast, that to me, in a way, this is success because I'm taking a step forward to living a dream of having a show where I can reach more people. You coming out here maybe is like taking a step towards success, expressing yourself and being a person you want to be. You like going out and fulfilling tasks. That's a step towards success. And getting back to what you were saying earlier, somebody like picking up that pen and paper or that brush and putting a few strokes down because they have a plan, they want to go somewhere, that is the success. So when you take technology and when you completely abstract that whole process, what do you have if success is the destination? Or if success, I'm sorry, if success is the journey and not the destination? Because then you've just completely removed the entire process, the entire meaning of everything. Like that's not art then. That's just a prompt you put in and everything that makes you human, that makes your creation something that people would actually want to go see, something that actually has effort placed into it, it completely saps the meaning out of it.
yeah,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
yeah. I find it very sad in a way that people, especially now, I think this has always been a thing. I mean, it definitely has always been a thing, but yeah, like people, they think happiness is in things. Like they have, like for example, people scrolling on TikTok, they think the happiness is in like in this next video, or I just need another video, and then I'll feel like I did the first time I saw it. Like
Mm-hmm.
this, I mean, it's kind of like a stupid comparison, I guess, like a stupid analogy,
No, it's not stupid at all. Like this is kind of what we were getting at
but
earlier.
in a way, like Like, imagine you were a billionaire. Like, right now, we have things that we want, right? Because but, like, if we like, I guess, like, imagine you were a billionaire and you could buy anything in the world. You could have like, you could literally have anything. You could do anything, you could get anything. You still wouldn't be happy, right?
Mm-mm.
Like, I don't think I would be happy because, like, I suppose I don't know how to explain it other than saying, like, it's not interesting anymore.
Yeah.
Like, the things that I want, if I can just get it immediately, it's just boring. Like, I don't know how to explain it, I guess.
Yeah. So,
Like, the
funnily,
first time you buy the car, it's like, "Whoa, this is awesome," you know? I bought the car. I worked so hard to do this, and I bought a car. Then when you buy your 5th car, like, you're a billionaire, you buy your 5th car, like, you're chasing the feeling of buying the first car, but you think the feeling of happiness that when you bought your first car is attributed to the car and not the journey of saving up for the car and getting there.
mhm.
But you just keep buying cars because you think that the car is the thing that made you happy, but it's not the thing that made you happy because happiness isn't in things. Because if happiness were in things, then you could keep buying the same thing over and over and it would never get old. But it does
Mhm.
get old eventually, right?
So,
Or you could keep doing the same, like, you could keep eating the same, like, candy over and over and but it gets old eventually.
mhm,
So the happiness can't be in the thing, right?
mhm. Like, I remember to kind of draw a parallel to this, I'm trying to think of something like in my life that I experienced, but like, actually, you know what? Yeah, sure. This is a great example too. I know I've talked about my time at university a lot during this podcast, but that's a genuine process for people. Like going to like schools and taking SAT scores and trying to get into like your dream college. You think when you finally get into that dream school, yeah, now I'll finally be happy. And okay, sure, you get into your school. Then what do? Then like after you start studying, and then in 4 years, you're gone from college. And then like God willing, you have how many years of your life where like that is gone, and you could like go back to college again, but it doesn't really have the same effect because now you may have dumped a lot more money going back to college and you thought that, well, this is what made me happy, but it wasn't. The actual process of it, like you said, whether it's going to buy one thing or the journey of buying the car or getting into your dream school or getting your apartment or getting a girlfriend, any of these things, that is always a journey. And there are so many examples we can think of about how everybody wants these things and like they can just understand like getting the thing. And this is kind of the point I was getting at earlier with TikTok, and you kind of jumped back into it earlier. And I'm not trying to get political about it, but what I'm saying is technology, in a sense, has placed all of that in front of us to the point where you can make an excuse not to take the journey because now instead of going out to get a girlfriend, you can see images online or like you can just take a shortcut to order food online from DoorDash instead of going to the store, buying your own ingredients and making the thing yourself because you think the food is what's going to make you happy,
Yeah.
but that in of itself is not the goal. Well, it's the goal, but
Yeah.
it's not the, you know what I mean? It's not the happiness. It's not the
Yeah,
whole
so
feeling.
in the way that technology has made it easier to do that is not a good thing. Yes.
No. Yeah. Which that's the point
Uh,
of, yeah.
yeah, I actually have a really good example for like what I was talking about like in my life. Actually just like a couple months ago. So actually just like last month.
Okay.
So like when I went back home, um, I mean it's so boring.
Yeah. No, like,
Like
dude, I just compared like applying for college and going to SAT, whatever
no,
you
no,
got
I mean
still. It's like,
like being at home was there's nothing to do there. I don't know, like So there was a lot of times where I was like, so I learned like the entirety of Breath of the Wild all shrines, and then I practiced it a bunch. I did a bunch of like run throughs, and it's like I know that I like speedrunning because I do it all the time. Like I like speedrunning, but it wasn't like, but I felt I was uh, like I didn't like I really didn't want to do it anymore. It was just not. Yeah, I guess because I was like I kept trying to like I guess I was like depressed, right? And I was trying to find something that would make me excited, that would make me happy. I was like, "Oh, I'll do speedrunning because I like speedrunning. Speedrunning makes me happy." But it's not speedrunning that makes me happy, right? We know that because of what we just it's not speedrunning. And I realized because Vinny was like I was talking to Vinny and he was like, "You should try something new." I was like, "Okay, I guess I will." Because you told me to, and I'll do anything Vinny says. And so I tried so I started learning how to draw. I started learning how to do art. And it was so fun. And now I have to like be careful. It's not fun because it's art. Like it's like the art is not the fun part. The fun part is that like the part that made me happy, the part that made me excited was that I was completely focused on. I was completely focused on doing that. Right? Isn't that why speedrunning is fun? Because when you're on a good pace, you're completely locked in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like that's the fun part, right? You're completely locked in to like clockwork jump. When you get to clockwork jump, you like like when I get to clockwork jump, I see I see it in like slow motion almost. Like I'm completely focused on that jump.
I see. I think a lot of people listening into this who haven't been like exposed to that or haven't tried it are immediately going to look at speedrunning and be like, "Oh, well, that's a really terrible example." But no, like as somebody who does it, I've like sometimes been told like you like could totally move on from this, and it's something that like you don't look like you do. But the whole thing, like you were getting at with speedrunning, is just like it was something to work towards, and it was something to push
Yeah.
myself to. Like recently on this very stream right before we started talking was I had this goal in mind. I was getting that 29 not because like the 29 was finally going to be like my fulfillment in life, but because it was a great process to try and experience it. In fact, like I actually, I've had a world record in the past, and I would argue this grind for something that was like a goal of mine personally and not like a world record time with inferior hardware. This was way more satisfying than the 42:17 I got on turning Japanese, just because like I enjoyed the process of it way more. I remember like when I was getting that time, I was also in a very negative state of mind, like you were getting at. I probably was depressed. You know what? Like I was stuck at home. I feel like I was away from all my friends at college. I was lost. I didn't really know where to go. And so I was figuring like, oh yeah, let's just like do speed running. It's something that's here. It's something that's fun. It's something I can do. And I was just like beating myself up in my mind so much like, oh, you've got to get this time. Like you've put so much time into this. Like you're gonna do it. It's gonna be awesome when you get it. Like, and I just like
Yeah.
made the process of it unfun. Like I literally took the joy out of something that should have been the best part of it. And then when I got like the 42:17, like I didn't feel as elated as I should have been because I made it miserable for myself. You know what I mean? And like I'm not putting the hobby down because like you said, I think to an extent like the hobby is great. Now if you're spending like like if you're doing a quadfecta like every other day of the week, maybe that's a problem because like that's like something that's maybe not the most productive thing. And there's a lot of other pursuits, like you said, trying something new or learning to draw or going out and meeting new friends, putting yourself in a scenario where you haven't been before, just kind of throwing a dart at the map socially and like for yourself can help out a lot. In fact, like I'm here, like when I moved down here, I was in a miserable state of mind, which is really weird. I'm in Charleston, South Carolina, and like it's a beautiful place here. The sun's always out. Like winter is like 40 degrees. It's going to be great. And yet I just convinced myself like I'm not locked in on anything. I'm not doing anything that's like useful for me or fun for me. I quite literally created my own misery, and it felt just like so dreary that I had nothing to put my time to or put my effort to. So that's why I think it's just like very important to understand like technology, like you said, can be good. It can help us to push ourselves toward those goals. It cannot take away the process of working towards the goals, because if
Mhm.
you don't have that, what is left? Like literally
Yeah.
nothing is left.
Yep.
Mhm.
I agree.
100%. Yeah. Wow. I honestly, you're making me think of people I want to bring on in the future now. I think I could spend an entire episode talking about just that concept. Like, do you create your own misery, or like do you create your own happiness? I'd love to have somebody like Sonic on here and talk about that. And Vinny is somebody who I haven't had the pleasure of speaking to a whole lot, but he seems like a very down to earth, very relatable person. If he was willing to, I would love to have him on this show as well.
Yeah, Vinny is cool.
Yeah. I'm sure he is. Yeah. It's like, hey, like I'm impressed. Like you were beating yourself up beforehand. Like I've never done this before. I like feel like I don't have a lot to say. All of that is incredibly insightful. So
It's just because it happened to turn into a subject that I talked about before.
well, listen, dude. In any case, like we've claimed an hour of the time slot here, so that was what I was planning to have for like these initial chunks of episodes. But I want to thank you again for just like coming on the show and like being here, because whatever it's like, if it's something you've heard from, maybe you could acknowledge that, even, like you could take that and move forward from it. But yeah, I think like having you here has been awesome, and having you like relate that to your own life is this is what I want this show to be. I want people to be able to hear ideas go back and forth between this and sort of gain a better idea of their own experiences and what they want their own lives to be just by talking about it. So that's awesome, man.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I do like talking to people. I just don't do it very often.
Hey, like we were saying, man, like
So,
maybe it's just time to like, throw a dart at the map. Like in a few weeks, I'm going out to some like dancing event at one pier.
oh,
Not
dude,
because I
yeah,
can
like
do it, but because it's like something
I
new.
joined, I joined like the Japanese Language Association. I don't speak Japanese. I'm not even really learning Japanese. I'm not in the Japanese class, but I'm there anyway. I was just there because I thought it would be fun. There are people to talk to. Anyway, it was fun. We went. There was an event on Friday, and we actually played like a. I met this guy. I met this like computer science major, this Indian guy, and yeah, that was it. Was fun to talk to him. We were like in the same team for. There was like a Jeopardy event
Okay,
about like
go.
like general like Japanese culture, society, the language, whatever. And we won. As expected. I'm kidding.
But
No, the reason we won, it was really fun because like there was a question that was like what is the like this Japanese company like based in Tokyo has this um like they have exhibits that are like full room exhibits that are meant to be like auditory and visual experiences. And I was like, wait, I was there. I've been there before. My cousin
oh,
lives in Tokyo, so I
right,
went
you
to
were
visit him.
you were just at Japan for a long time, weren't you?
I was in Japan for 5 days, and then
Longer
like
than
the
I was.
next 2 weeks I was in Taiwan. So,
Jeez.
uh, but yeah, yeah. So we, I was like, wait, I was there. So I got that question, and then there was another question that was like, what is this? What does this kanji mean? And it's this like is one of the really complicated ones. But we had three mainland Chinese people in our team. So anyway, uh, so they answered it correctly.
That's
Do I think Taiwan is a country? Oh no.
okay. No, no, that's like that might be a little bit too political. to say. I mean, do I talk about politics on the show sometime in the future? Maybe, but like,
Yeah.
let's. Yeah, I'm not sure if you're cool to speak on that or if you want to. Uh,
I mean, I think I've talked about it on stream before.
have you really?
I think so. I mean, I'm Taiwanese, so
All right, so shoot, maybe you
but
are pretty qual. You're more qualified than me to talk about it. So,
anyway, like it kind of just depends on who you ask, I guess. If you ask the mainland Chinese people, they'll probably say no.
well, kind of
You
think
ask me, if you asked me, I'd probably say yeah, it is. But
mainland
minus 1,000 social credit, bro. I'm Taiwanese. What do you expect from me?
mainland China also has a lot of things going on under the hood, and I'm not talking about coronavirus or anything like that, but there are documentaries that exist about things they're doing to like native Muslims in there and just a bunch of other crazy things. The way they run their government, it's and then yeah, like no wonder they don't really appreciate that for people in the mainland. But yeah, I don't know.
I think it's really funny because there are like people online who be like, no, like Taiwan is a part of China. Look on the passport, it says China on it. In the Constitution, it's a part of China, and it's like, yeah, but like obviously they meant that like Taiwan is the real China, and like the mainland China is actually part of Taiwan. So like Taiwan is part of the real China, which is the government that's on China. You know what I mean? Like it's like obviously that's not what they're talking about. Like what a stupid argument.
Yeah, no, I think what was it? There was a huge
Passport, it says
controversy.
China.
Yeah, and
Great.
James is not kidding, by the way. That is a real event. He did ban Winnie the Pooh, but like,
Yeah, oh yeah, I know that. That's funny.
what was it? There was a big media deal that like people were making out of it a while ago. It was right when the Russian Ukraine war started up, and somebody took a picture of a sign in Russia that said like Alaska is ours, and they tried to just churn out this whole media controversy about it. But it's like, guys, that's really not like I don't think that's entirely what they meant. And you know how media is nowadays on like either side of the fence. People like take one thing and put their own spin on it and make you think like somebody's going to war or something else is gonna end up developing. So like whenever you hear something like that, you kind of have to take it with a grain of salt, especially if you know
Like
like
did they actually think that? Like did they actually were they actually like seriously like gonna fight for like oh yeah Russia is or Alaska is ours, or was it just like a bit?
I
I think it would be really funny if it was just a bit.
I in all likelihood that's what it was. Like I think with there's some because there's so many layers of that with countries attacking one another. Like you Russia could get away with attacking Ukraine because they're not part of NATO, but like if you attack a united state, then all of NATO is coming after you. And then you've essentially kickstarted World War III. Because even if Russia were to ally with somebody like China or some other ally, that would be perfectly cool. Like, well, congratulations, you just started a war entirely on your own terms. So good job. So yeah,
Yeah. Anyway, this is the kind of politics that I'm not qualified to talk about because
yeah.
I'm
Not
I
like
don't follow.
like I said, it's all good. Like I can only speak so much on it myself. I really haven't been paying attention to much of the news in recent times, with like one exception earlier this week. God rest Charlie Kirk. But yeah, besides that, I mean, I just think like overall, it with the way media goes both ways, it only leads to tear people apart. And I think it's good to talk about certain issues and to have different perspectives come in on certain
Yeah, I
issues, like
agree.
technology. But I also think like we are very much encouraged to make more of a deal out of it than we should have. Because I think I've spoken to a bunch of people on both sides of the fences to know that like it's not as big of a deal truly as some people make it out to be. And I
Yeah,
think there's still a lot more in common that we have as human beings that allow us to talk like this and watch football, do things like that. So
yeah. I mean, honestly, like the way I see it, like it's almost like everybody like agrees. But there's like one word in there. They're like, no, I can't agree with you now. This one word is such a big deal. But I agree with everything else you said. That's kind of how it feels like to me.
yeah,
It's like we all kind of agree on the same thing.
yeah.
But there's just like this one thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's insane to me how everybody tries to stockpile a system of beliefs or like an identification into one party or one like group or the other. Like, hey, you either believe in something or you don't. You either are red or you're blue. You either like milk in your
Yeah.
cereal or you don't like milk in your cereal. It's like
Yeah.
human belief and human nature is never that one dimensional. And I feel like people trying to make it that one dimensional has been a serious detriment.
Yeah, but unfortunately, it is kind of like human nature to do that,
Oh
to
God, Artery.
make it
Uh,
like, Art,
uh
why do you keep asking these questions?
Jeez Louise. Okay.
Are you trying
Um.
to cancel
uh,
us?
oh gosh. I mean, Takei, if you're not comfortable talking about that on this episode, that's all good. That's like, no, you're good.
I'm
You're good.
comfortable with talking about like anything,
Yeah.
but like if I don't think I'm qualified, then I'll just say that, I guess. But I'll probably say what I think anyway.
Yeah. No, like an artery, by the way, nobody needs to apologize for like asking a question on this show or like nobody needs to apologize for like trying to be open. Because again, this is what I want this to be. I think it's like a good nature to kind of talk to somebody about what they believe in
Yeah,
or like
I'm just giving you a hard time. It's okay. It's okay.
it's all good. It's like sometimes it's hard when I don't see people face to face, but yeah, no, it's good. Like I, funnily enough, when she asked that, or when Artery asked that, I actually I know a bunch of church pastors, and like if I get this show to a point where I dream it can go, I think I might actually have a couple of them on the show and make like a bunch of questions like that. Now, obviously, like I know some people watching this like in the future, not everybody is super open to having those conversations. Like, it's okay, I'm flattered that you're a little more open to talking about those, but some people see those and they think it's a little mentally exhausting. So that's why I'm not always like immediately trying to jump onto that. In fact, I think with some of the stuff you were saying earlier about like purpose and fulfillment, I think we totally could have jumped the ship right there. I kind of wanted to pump the brakes on it because I don't know how you felt about it, how everybody else feels about it. But yeah, no, for future episodes as well, like that's something that I'm definitely open to talking about. Because like I said, it's life, you know? It's something that I
Yeah, I
feel
mean,
like
if the question is posed, I'll answer it. It's fine.
mhm.
I'll go.
uh, it's,
Anyway, do I believe in God? Like, no. No.
uh,
That's it. That's the answer.
uh, all right. Maybe I feel like I'm not qualified to talk about this based on.
I
Oh
don't know. Like,
gosh.
I don't mind if people believe in God.
Oh.
It's
uh,
like if you believe, that's fine. Because it like ultimately, if it's like if believing in this thing like helps you, then it's fine, right? Like, I don't approve of like going after the people who don't believe it and then like killing them. That's not very nice.
mm-mm.
But
I think
but
from
like
like
if we're talking purely about like, do you believe in this or do you believe in this? Uh, I mean, like it's fine either way, isn't it?
yeah, I mean it goes back to like just like everybody has a way of going about life, and I think that's been a huge step in creating different cultures and different societies. Now, whether or not like you have one perception of life or another, whether or not maybe you think they're all interconnected somehow is entirely up to you. I will say what I've seen as far as that, like some people have definitely been quick to bring up the constants of like, yeah, it makes this like religion in a sense makes it easier to control a society when everybody is unified under one goal, and it also serves to make
Sure.
people more comfortable if you have kind of like what Takeo was getting at earlier, like some external meaning besides just like what you make of life. That being said, like, am I gonna like completely shaft somebody who has one perspective or another? No, like I just go with what I've seen in my life, and I'll fully acknowledge that yeah, I might be inclined to lean towards some beliefs over others. And that's just because I still live in America, and like some people who live in India would say one thing and like some people who live in Iraq would say another thing, and etc. etc. So it is what you make of it. I think we would truly need another full episode to talk about it and to really hammer home some of the like deeper points about it. So I'll probably save that for a future episode. But if any of you are interested in it, believe me, like I know people, and we can dig into that. So yeah. In the meantime, though, it's okay. Like I said, we've been running this for quite a while now, and I think we,
Yes, yes,
yeah,
indeed.
I got off topic there a little bit, but I think it's good. Like I'm really glad that we got to running on these issues, and I hope you had a fun time. But thank you so much again for coming on to this episode. You're like the first guest ever on this show, and hopefully it keeps
Yeah, it
running.
was fun. It was fun.
I don't know. Yeah. No, I
Happy to be here.
mhm.
Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah.
I'm happy that you think I am a person who has things to say.
Yeah. Just kind of what I see in people, you know, and chances are there's gonna be a lot that I see things in. But yeah, like keep drawing, man, and keep setting goals. I think it'll be great for
Yes.
yourself.
Yes, you too, you too.
Yeah. Well, in that case, then,
Okay.
meanwhile, everybody, thank you for listening in to the episode of The Life Equation, the inaugural episode. Really appreciate y'all coming out, and hopefully we'll be doing more of this in the future. I plan to make this a routine thing after the streams on Sunday. I plan to just take at least an hour of time, bring somebody on, and just talk about an issue that I feel is really relevant or something that sparks a lot of great conversation, because this is really what I think it's all about, and I'm very happy to have people on like this. But yeah, in the meantime, Takei, do you have any final thoughts?
Um, um, uh, yeah, James is hot. That's my final thought.
Man has spoken. All right. Yeah. So there you go. Takei, thank you once again for coming on to the show, man. Really appreciate it.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
in the meantime,
Thank you for
until the
inviting
next
me.
episode, until next time we all meet up, take it easy, everybody. And talk to you soon.